Is it really that obvious that I'm a Paralives loyalist? Okay, the game's not even out yet, so I couldn't be that much of a loyalist even if I tried. Still doesn't change the fact that Paralives has been on my most anticipated game list for a really long time. Earlier this year, Left by You came out of nowhere and knocked itself into third place, and with each update, I can feel my preference swaying. The two games seem to have the core of a Dollhouse Life Simulator down, but offer completely different experiences. I'm very partial to Paralives. If I can design my own life sim, Paralives checks off most of those boxes, yet you got this beast of a game that releases so soon, and the creative genius who worked on The Sims 3 is now behind Life by You, and I just spiral trying to figure out which game calls to me the most. So you know what? I'm gonna make y'all fight it out. Okay, the fact that I have to even say this makes me so sad because a very special part of the life sim community can be so incredibly dense. This is all fun and games. Both games are great from what we've seen. Regardless of the outcome of this video, both games will take all of my money. And hopefully this time I won't feel shame for dropping a bag on someone I used to know. Yes, I'm talking about you. All right, enough of the disclaimers. I'm ready for the fun part. Show me the first category. So I already talked about the art style of Paralives in my last video. I recommend giving it a watch. I find the apparently controversial art style pretty interesting. But yeah, I just really enjoy the theme of everything being handcrafted in Paralives. The world looks like a serene watercolor painting with the juxtaposition of the parafolk being sketched in to give them that pop effect. Tell me right now, this is not the creation of an up-and-coming indie artist who created their self-proclaimed masterpiece, ironically called juxtaposition. Did you see what I did there? Anyways, look, I'm a sucker for a theme. It doesn't have to be cohesive. It just has to look good. And girl, it looks good. Oh my god. So switching gears and shining a light on this conundrum, Life by You is one of those cases that can look absolutely stunning in the best of times versus in the worst of times looking like complete dog shit. The game will be in early access in March, and they're they're continuously going to be making improvements to the graphics from now on until the eventual final release. I'm just going to assume when the game doesn't look like it came from the days of PS2 graphics, that's closer to what the final product would look like. The thing is, I'm not mad at the stylized take on realism. Am I a fan of realism? No. But am I part of the group of people that freak out when they see a realistic art style anywhere? Also no. I can appreciate a beautiful art style. When it looks good, Life by You earns the title of what was supposed to be a true successor to The Sims 3. So in short, I can appreciate and over time fall in love with the aesthetics of Life by You. But if you didn't hear me before, I love me a good theme. Paralives has the potential to become so iconic and the aesthetics just remain ageless. Life by You is pretty, but there's just not enough creative juices flowing in the world or its humans. I have to give this one a Paralives. She just makes me feel things. I don't know. Bear with me, but I have a serious problem with this. And this. That too. Like, what is that? Before I get into how I really feel, I've heard them say they will be updating the animations over time. The game has not even been released for early access yet, so it's unavoidable not to spot something that looks unfinished. Even with all of that disclosed, it still doesn't remove the festering pit of worry I get every time I see another new gameplay video. Right now, I have no choice but to trust that the floating up the stairs, stretched arms of the humans using certain objects, and everything to do with cars in this game will get cleaned up. If I don't trust it, then I lose hope of finding a new life sim that I can lose myself in. Last time I trusted the process, I lost over $1,000 and the will to live. Literally, I lost the will to play with life. so please forgive me if I'm kinda scared. To be honest, seeing any improvement in the animations will give me a good sign, but for now, this might be the biggest reason why I can't get all the way behind Life by You. Immersion breaking is the biggest thing for me, and when it does happen, it's so easy to lose me. But still, I remind myself every day, it's an early development, it's an early development, it's an early development. So I'm gonna sit back and give the devs the time and grace they need, and when they exceed past my low expectations, like I know they can, expect me to lose my mind. Prepare to be sick of me when this game reaches its peak. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. As a matter of fact, I'll find the truth and put it up. Didn't Life by You and Paralives start development in 2019? Granted, one started with a small team and the other started with a single man who said, F everything, I'ma just do it. And won't he do it? With the rest of the amazing Paralives team, like, look at this fluidity, the grace, the vibe. Is this the greatest thing I've ever seen? No. But does it blow my expectations out of the water from what I expected from this team? Clearly. What gets me the most is the smoothness of the movement. I see no weird jittering or obvious break in the end of animations. This is what I'm talking about when I bring up immersion. I can tell when playing Paralives, I won't be constantly reminded this is an indie project. Obviously, no shade to any other game that does that. They do what they can from what they have, yet you have to give the team their flowers. They have been earned, especially in this category. I don't know the people behind Paralives from nowhere. I don't know where they came from, what they've been up to before this point, but from now on, I really do feel like I can count on them to satisfy that perfect middle in between having personality and overly dramatized. I'm not really a fan of dramatized animation, not for a life sim anyway. This is my happy middle. Make me believe the paras are actually having a real conversation, progressing in their piano skill, hell, even dying from starvation. Like I said before, not the greatest thing I've seen, but it just does it for me. That's all I ask. I feel like the biggest question that comes up for Paralives is, where is the gameplay? And if I didn't know any better, I would 100% be asking the same question. Not in the matter that some of you gremlins online think is normal, but let's be honest here, publicly we have seen close to none in terms of game features. They've definitely made an effort to inform the community what they plan to do, discuss things like relationships, careers, and family play, but notice how under live mode there is no seed in action. So again, I ask, where is the gameplay? I know where the gameplay is. They told me. They're working on it. Well, they didn't specifically tell me, but on their Patreon, they give out quite a bit of information on live mode. Don't expect me to give anything away because I respect their privacy, but I can't look at it like that. From the point of view of the common consumer, we have nothing. And even if I didn't know of some that was in the works, I might have to keep my guard up. Respectfully though, some of you gremlins be talking so disrespectful. It's so not needed, and I think the group of you roaches are dumb. I know y'all hate hearing this, but you need to swallow the truth. They're a small team, let them work. For right now though, Paralives is not giving what it's supposed to give in terms of gameplay, which if it turns out to be shallow or unappealing, that will probably make every other praise I've given sort of mute. Forgive me, I'm big on gameplay and I just can't get behind the sacrifice of it over anything else. Until then, I'll watch from the sidelines being cautiously optimistic. Is that what y'all say? That's y'all's favorite phrase, I swear. When I say I want in-depth, immersive, creative freedom, groundbreaking game features that shift the peak of the genre expectations, I'm talking about Life by You. I think I can say the same for a lot of others who are waiting for this game. The gameplay is my favorite part by far. There's just so much that I'm not even sure how to break it down. Let's just start with the first thing that comes to mind, the built-in modding tools. Something I would have never thought I would want, but now that it's a thing, I don't ever want to play a game without it. The plethora of options make it seem like each player can be playing a different game entirely. Also, can we talk about the career system? An actual corporate ladder, each position with individual jobs. They've only shown off the business aspect of this. Imagine this concept in different fields like cosmetology, social media, performance arts. And you can't forget the quality of life features like the time system, aging, the way conversations work, and the character creator looks like it has prospects to be pretty in-depth as well. All that is to say, this is my next Sims 3. This is what I wanted from the next generation. Having features that have never been done before, breaking a boundary I could never imagine possible. If I'm able to easily change the aesthetics of the game with the use of mods and G-Shade, a good system and gameplay could switch up everything for me. If that were to happen, Life by You would have no trouble taking up the top spot in place of Paralives on my personal preferences. Again, someone please tell me if I'm wrong. I'll find out later in post, but for right now, I'm just going to assume Life by You started development in 2019. I swear I saw an article that interviewed Ron Humble and he gave some hints at what he was working on behind the scenes. The first time we heard of Life by You was March 6, 2023. Pause. I can't believe it's been less than a year since I've known of this game's existence. It feels like it's been years since Life by You jumped onto the life simulation scene. But fast forward to present day, it's been 8 months since the initial teaser dropped and we're only 4 months out to getting our hands on early access. From the community's point of view, all of this has happened really fast, and based on what we were shown, it's been in quiet development for some years now. I'm a creature of impulsivity and love change when I'm expecting it, at least. I can have patience, but I am in no way opposed to finding a new game now without having to wait a year plus to finally play. Sometimes tradition can be good, and the traditional way of not teasing a game until it's close to a playable state works for me. There's a huge trade-off when it comes to Paralives and its development timeline. On the upper hand, we have reality, where we learned about Paralives very early on in development, possibly the beginning of the timeline. The developers have been releasing information as they go while making a point to brainstorm and get community feedback. This strategy is amazing because now they can mold the game for the player and in some ways by the player. Paralives has grown from 1 man to 10, so without a corporation behind them, sharing the game with the public during development allows for crowdfunding. The community can then decide if they like what they see, then they can support the game to see it release in the future. And when Paralives finally releases, the people who have been around since the development days will feel so much satisfaction seeing all the hard work and support pay off.
It's like a reward.
That's the good side, but what about the downside? Well, this strategy is showing the game in a very vulnerable state, unfinished, which opens the gates for judgment. Also, with taking the fans throughout the entire development timeline, it can start to feel like a really long time when it all started in 2019 and now we're approaching the end of 2023. Key phrase, feel like a really long time. 4 years is not long at all for game development. If they had the game ready within that time, I would be extremely worried about how good the game will turn out to be. Still, long-term hype and anticipation can turn into restlessness. So I'm happy we were brought along for the journey and know good things come to those who wait. But if I can go back and choose, a selfish part of me would wish I never heard of Paralives until it was ready. The selfish part is small, but present. Life by You might have to take the win for this one. I'm just gonna say this now, don't make me choose between Life by You and Paralives. I love me a good build mode. I still shamelessly spend hours in The Sims 4. Granted, I will never play in my homes, so I build for the aesthetics instead of function. Building is just so therapeutic. I've always been a builder at heart. I just was never good at it until recent years. Until I can get into the nooks and underbellies of these two games, I'm not choosing, and you can't make me. I've wanted to be a part of a new community for a long time now. I would say after a certain point, I stopped relating to the Sims community. That feeling became even more apparent after my love for the Sims really started to freefall. I often found myself either annoyed or completely confused at the points I would see online from both sides of the love or hate train for the Sims 4. When it comes to Paralives, it's becoming obvious that there will be a lot of carryover from the Sims, yet I still hope with a fresh slate and feelings of distrust removed, it can turn into something I would want to be more a part of. The coziness of the game seems to seep into the community, the fans giving off that cozy vibe itself. A vibe I can get behind. With Life by You, in some ways you can say the same, but the aesthetics and the feels are a little different. The game has the potential to call to an audience outside of the life sim community. I feel like it could give off the vibe from the Sims 1 days where anyone and everyone would play The Sims. The Sims community is quite diverse in terms of people. The content that's produced can be interesting for a while, but I can often feel fatigue from everything starting to feel repetitive. Life by You can create an environment that invites many different types of gamers. Not to say this is lacking in the Sims community, but it can just be different. A different age range, a marketed gender group, just an overall different feel to the community. That's really what I'm looking for, something new to be a part of. And that's why, once again, I have to give this category to Life by You. This is honestly so surprising to me. I have such a soft spot for Paralives, but the points don't lie. Life by You might be calling to me just a little bit more. I don't know how to feel. You know what? There's a reason for everything, and we're gonna find out in March.